Hello everybody, I'm your friendly internet Nintendo freak back to talk about the recent Pokemon news that came out yesterday regarding Pokemon Sun and Moon, and I'm joined by the one person I know that likes Pokemon almost as much as I do.
Almost as much.
My good friend Mark. How you doing?
All good, all good.
Good stuff.
Excited for some more Poke news.
Yeah. So the main things that we saw in this video, we saw quite a lot of stuff actually.
More than I was expecting, if I'm honest.
To be fair, yeah. The main stuff we saw though was obviously to do with the new starters. Let's start with that. So like the 3 new starters that we've got, they seem kind of cute. Like I'm not 100% on them, but that's almost always the case. Like,
Oh yeah, I mean, ever since 2nd Gen really, because 2nd Gen we didn't have that many pre-built conceptions of what everything should look like, because we'd only had one attempt so far.
yeah.
But ever since 3rd Gen, everyone's been like, oh, I'm not sure, I'm not convinced. But
That's always the case. Like I've been the same since about 3rd Gen, 3rd, 4th, 5th, yeah, all of them pretty much. Like I've always been kind of like iffy about the starters to start off with. Eventually they kind of grow on me.
I mean, my opinions on starters in general are well documented. I'm not that bothered about starters. I could quite cheerfully not have one.
Yeah, that's it.
But I mean, obviously we yet to see what their evolutions look like, but as a basis for a starting point, they look fairly interesting.
They look like it could be interesting.
I
Like
mean-
my least favourite one is the water type, which is very strange.
Which is
to me.
a general consensus all around by the look of
Yeah.
it.
Like it's very strange for me to not like the water type, because pretty much every generation I've always picked the water type first. Sometimes regretted it, but most of the time it's been a good pick.
But I mean, I think as far as the water style goes, everyone's got visions of it turning into another Walrein or something.
I think that's it.
But when you look at where they started with Oshawott in 5th Gen, for example, and ended up with Samurott,
Yeah, they could turn into something completely different by the time it evolves, and that's the same case with all of these. You got to look at like say what they potentially could be and not what they are currently. Because although they're all cute and stuff now, like say they could turn into something completely different by the time they're fully
some
evolved.
grass flying monster.
Dude, the freaking owl, I love it. It's great.
No one saw that one coming.
I didn't see that. A grass flying starter? That's crazy. That's never been done before. So I'm probably going to pick that one because I think it looks amazing. And I always am a bit of a fan of like owls and stuff like that in general. So yeah, I'm very curious to pick that one.
Well, I picked the grass starter in X and Y. I picked, forgot what it's called.
Chespin.
Chespin, that's the badger. And obviously ended up with the chestnut,
Yep.
which I never really enjoyed, to be honest. I never enjoyed my 6th Gen team particularly.
I
But
don't know. I like the 6th gen starters in general.
I've grown to like Greninja, but the other two don't do much for me.
I like Chestnut because he's a bit of a powerhouse. Obviously, Greninja's a bit kind of really cool, really. Delphox is kind of like the weaker one for me, and that was the one I picked. Because I was like, dude, Fennekin looks adorable, I'm picking Fennekin. And then it evolved into Delphox, and I'm like, yeah, you look less cute now. But, I mean, you're still pretty cool because you're a fire psychic type. That's neat. Like,
Going back to these ones,
yeah. Yeah, like, Litten is like the best pun ever.
it seems like the least inventive name that they could have possibly come up with.
It's the kid.
What happens
but
if you
it
set
lights
a cat
things
on fire? It's Litten. Ha 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 ha. Wicked, let's call it that. There's your English name.
Let's go for it. Like the picture, like from what I understand, from what I read up a little bit about it and stuff, like it basically shoots flaming furballs at people. Like
I will say, looking at it as we're looking at it on the screen right now, it looks oddly proportioned.
yeah,
It doesn't look right in a way.
I don't know. I think
its head's too big, or
the
its body's
thing-
too skinny.
yeah, I kind of see that, but that's like, to be fair, that's like standard sort of like small kitten traits, really.
Yeah. Yeah, I know why they've done it. It just doesn't look
The thing-
proportioned like a Pokemon, if you see what I mean.
Yeah, I kind of get you.
It
The
looks
thing-
proportioned like an actual cat.
Yes. Which, I mean, is fine. The thing that I don't like about the design is the tufty things on the side of its face. Not a fan of the mustache they give it.
As long as it doesn't turn into a full-on Alakazam mustache, then we'll be alright.
We'll be alright. But that's the one that I don't like. I think
keep it with whiskers, yeah.
Keep it would be nicer without those. Sort of thing. And like this, I feel like is the most adorable artwork for the sea lion. It's great. It's adorable. I love it.
Even though you have a type advantage, I'm going to balance you on my face. So what are the chances of it being a water ice type, so it's still got a neutral typing, essentially?
I reckon that'll probably be the case. Because they normally do it so that the types like balance each other out, I think, don't they? Like, even with the last one, like the subtypes were fighting Dark and Psychic, which are all in another triangle with each other.
Yeah.
So I feel like they're probably it's gonna be like water ice to go with against the grass flying, and then like say, who knows what the fire type will be. Like,
well, everyone's assuming Dark, but I think that's too obvious.
It does seem too obvious, but I think it would be pretty neat. We've already got a Dark Fire dog. Now we can have a Dark Fire cat.
And they can have dark fire chases
and stuff. Just need a dark fire mouse.
Yeah. Raticate gets another evolution. First ever Pokemon to change both typings all in one go.
The next thing that really we see is like the region and stuff like that. And there's a few other things that are confirmed in this. One of them, they show us like a nice like overview of the region, which like it looks kind of small, but then I realized, it was like, wait a second, that's not the whole region. Like,
if it is, it's going to be a remarkably short game.
Yeah, like the theories of it being based on Hawaii are pretty much confirmed now. Like, we have like the region's name now, don't we? Which is like Alola, which is basically Aloha, but not.
It's okay, I spent some time in the shower practicing saying it out loud. I've got the hang of it now.
You got it. Well done. Yeah, so it's basically based off Hawaii, which makes me think it's going to be based off the islands of Hawaii, not just the single island of Hawaii, because there's like a bunch of islands around Hawaii. So I think we're going to be doing like a bunch of like island hopping and traveling and stuff like that, which I think is going to be really cool and something we haven't really done. So
it's a tidy looking design. There's a bit of variety on there.
There is. There's
there's an interesting looking cave in the top right of the picture we're looking at.
There is actually, yeah.
There's a bit of a built up area. There's a volcano, obviously.
There's like a volcano thing there. So yeah, like, which it all makes sense and stuff.
Perhaps that's just one town.
This could just be like
it's
one town.
It's a huge map.
But yeah, well, the reason, like you say, it seems small. Like at first I was like, well, maybe it's just like really zoomed out and this actually is like a full region, and then I was like, no, because like the town bit to the left is like zoomed in enough where you can see like the buildings and stuff. Like this is obviously a small island, because like say you can see the buildings quite clearly. It's not like massively zoomed out. So yeah, this is definitely like one of many islands I feel that we're possibly going to be going between, which I think could be pretty cool. I don't think we're necessarily going to be surfing to the islands though, looking at this.
Oh no, because you'd be there forever otherwise.
We'll be...
Look how much criticism they came in for the last games. Too much water.
Too much water.
Too much water. What was it, 7.3 or whatever it was out of 10?
7.
Too much water.
Too much water, dude. No, it looks like there's like a harbour type thing, like up here or something, and that's going to be obviously where the boat system is going to be, and we're going to probably like get boats to travel between islands.
Think Sevi Islands.
But like, this doesn't mean we're not going to have any water exploration, because you can obviously see there's like some islands and stuff down here. You can still surf.
They've clearly marked out the surfing areas.
Yeah, they've clearly marked out that surfing
by
area
the big row of rocks at the bottom,
the rock border,
the top right of the corner of the map bit that we've got.
That's it. The rock border kind of marks it all out for you. So there's obviously going to be plenty of surfing, but it's not going to be surfing between the islands, which I think is pretty cool. We also have character customization back again.
Hooray!
They've confirmed that.
They actually listened to what we wanted.
They did listen to what we wanted. I think it was a given that it was going to come back, the only reason they didn't bring it in Oraz was purely because they already had the pre-made avatars, and it was supposed to be a remake, so they had to kind of roll with that. I think it would have been cooler if they'd let us adjust like the skin tone at least of the pre-made avatars, but they didn't. So
it wasn't really necessary though. There was plenty of stuff in the game.
Yeah, like Auras were alright all in all, really. But yeah, like I'm definitely glad they brought back in character customization. Everyone can have their own character dressed the way that they want it to be. We didn't really see too much indication of changing like the outfits, but there is.
Thing is, for me, if you look at the character model, it's very plain.
It's very plain. It's obviously like the
There's
standard
a
default
lot of stuff that they can do to it. It's
Yeah.
very plain. If you look at all the previous starting characters for all the previous games, they have a very set design.
Yeah.
And this matches none of them.
Yeah.
So I feel like they've deliberately given it something really, really, really plain.
Yeah.
And if you look at the female model as well, she's very plain as well.
Yeah, they're
With
both
an
the same.
interesting looking hat as well. But anyway.
Yeah. Like they haven't really shown us too much to suggest that like the clothing will change, but they actually did confirm it in there. Like there's like obviously you see multiple shots of the same avatar, and there is a shot where it looks like it's the same top, but it's a different color. It's got like different color stripes. So like they do kind of confirm that there's going to be some sort of customization in the appearance in terms of like outfits and stuff like that, which doesn't surprise me. Like I expected that to come back if they were bringing back in like actual customization of your person. So I'm definitely looking forward to doing that and seeing, like, say, the fact that everyone's going to have their own appearance, their own look while playing the game. It's going to be good.
It was a big part of X and Y, just going into battles against other real people.
It was.
Seeing your character with your team, it makes a huge difference.
I think now they also have, like, 4 different skin tone choices, because there was only 3 in X and Y.
Yeah.
And now there's 4. There's, like, super pale, tanned, dark. That's what you have now. So yeah,
Everybody's catered for.
Everyone's catered for, unless you're like semi-tanned, and then you're in trouble. With that all said, what else was there to mention? Oh, the legendaries. Duh.
Well, just quickly going back to the characters as well, they're full-scale characters rather than the weird
That's
little
it.
squatty-looking things that
Yeah,
we got
they're not
in
like-
the previous games.
They're not like shrunk down. Like the actual models that you see at the start of the game, or when you're in like battles and stuff like that, they seem to be the same models that they're using on the overworld now, which is really quite neat.
And as well, if you look in the battle sequence from the trailers, you can see the character in the background of the battle,
which is also really neat. Like I say, the fact that characters, you're going to be able to see them a lot more. Like, yeah, no, I'm all up for that. Like, if you're playing against someone else, you don't just see them at the start of the battle, you can see them all the way throughout. That seems really cool. Like I say, just the actual overworld and stuff like that, and how it seems to be portrayed here, I'm looking forward to. It's definitely a different style to X and Y, which I think was one of the things that concerned me a little bit. Was I was like, you're going to the next gen, but you're on the same system.
it looks identical.
Like everything we'd seen thus far of it looked like it was the same style as X and Y.
But if you look at it twice, the first time you just think, oh, it's the same, but if you look at it again, it's actually
realise-
quite different.
Yeah, you
The
realise it's
detail
actually
is very different.
very different. Like I say, because it does seem to be like more zoomed in, everything's more to the actual scale, effectively, rather than being kind of like all sort of zoomed out and everyone kind of squashed down a little bit to match a uniform size. So I'm pretty excited for it. I'm very curious to see, like, say, how the whole thing's going to look out and play out when you're actually playing it. So yeah, we have box art and we have legendaries. That's the only other real thing I can think of to talk about. I don't mind these legendaries.
We have Aslan and we have a bat.
Aslan and Moonbat.
Well, there's a nickname sorted.
Yeah. Yeah, no, we have, like, say, a lion to represent the sun, and like this like crescent bat thing to represent the moon. and like the bat looks kind of weird. Like I didn't associate it with a bat at first, and then when I rewatched through the footage, you can clearly see it's got wings and it does kind of look like a bat, so kind of works with that. But yeah, like I don't hate them. I don't think they're as bad as previous.
No, looking at them, I thought, oh, I'm just going to dislike them instantly. I mean, the X and Y ones, going back to again, Xerneas and Beetle, or Beetle, or how do you pronounce it, never really warmed to them. They looked a bit out of place, but these look alright. Although, my main criticism of up-to-date Legendaries is that over-detailed.
Yes.
Compared to like the simplicity of the older ones, like first, second, third gen, everything from fourth onwards are a bit overdrawn.
Overdone. I think these ones are the lowest ones. Like they're about on this par with X and Y, and I don't feel like X and Y were as overdone as fifth or fourth gen, if that makes sense. Like Dialga and Palkia, I'm not really fond of their design, so I'm not fond of Reshiram or Zekrom either.
I like Reshiram and Zekrom.
That's just me. I'm not a fan of the designs of any of those four mons, because I just feel like they're too overdone, over-designed. They've got too much stuff going on with them. These ones I feel like are a little bit more simpler, and I felt the same way about X and Y. With X basically just being a deer with crazy antlers, and Y being a giant flying Y.
Well, that was screwed from the start, just basing it on letters. But it'd be interesting to see what the actual concept behind these Legendaries is, because the concept between Reshiram and Zekrom is they came from the same Pokemon, and one's truths and one's ideals. What is it these are going to stand for? Obviously they've got the whole sun and moon thing going on, but what is all they're going to say? I'm a lion, I'm representing the sun.
It's representing the sun and representing the moon. And
so what's their backstory going to be?
It's like they have a very, I want to say, like regal appearance. They obviously look very celestial and very regal. So I'm curious to see what's going to happen along with them, sort of thing, where that's going to lead to, and things.
And as well, we still yet to have Volcanion.
Yeah,
so
we still have.
Volcanion's
and
maybe coming for this
would
game.
make a ton of sense to come out in Hawaii.
Indeed.
Because, the
Fire and
freaking
water.
volcano, and it's an island, so there's a ton of water around.
Well, we've just discussed the volcano, haven't we?
Yeah.
What if that's where you get Volcanion from?
Could be where you get Volcanion from. It could be, instead of it being like a weird event legendary, it's actually an in-game one. That would be pretty sweet. But I don't know, we'll have to wait and see with that, really. Obviously, we still haven't had Zygarde's story, and we still, like say, at this point it's now like, well, we could still travel back to Kalos, but it would have to be through boat. We'd have to get a boat there.
Well, we've not seen the entire region. There may be a train station somewhere, like on the mainland or something.
There could be like a mainland section of the map, and there may be a train there that might lead to Kalos. But no, I'm expecting
That's
it to
just
be
like the Eurostar, goes in the water.
It could be, which would be really cool if they did that, I suppose. Like, obviously, we don't know the exact layout of the Pokemon world. Regions aren't obviously as close as they are in our world, sort of thing, or as far away as they are in our world. So, who knows? It could be interesting. They could connect back to Unova if it's based more on our world. America's going to be closer to Hawaii than anywhere else, but
it may be. But anyway, let's have some inter-region connectivity.
I hope so. I hope there's some sort of connectivity between the regions, and I hope, like, more so I hope it's with Kalos, but like it could be with anything really. I'd be happy.
Yeah, I think that pretty much covers all the new details we've had, doesn't it?
Yeah, it pretty much does. It sums up most of the things that we got from that trailer. Like I say, more than I was expecting. Oh, there was one more thing. November 18th. It's the date it comes out everywhere. Except
November 23rd here.
Yeah, except the Europe and us in the UK. Like we don't get it on November 18th. We get it on like the 23rd. We get it like 5 days later. But everywhere else, like I think it's like America, Australia, and Japan all get it on November 18th.
It's just racism.
It makes me sad that it's like not quite a worldwide release.
It was inevitable though. We never get it at the same time.
Well, I mean, the X and Y was a worldwide.
of it.
Yeah, X and Y was worldwide, and Omega Ruby Alpha Sapphire was delayed. But yeah, like, it makes me sad that it's not doing the same as X and Y and doing it at the same time everywhere. Like, what's the harm in making the rest of the world wait 5 more days for us to catch up?
Or just waiting for letting us join in parts straight away.
Or letting us start early, you know, that'd be fine. I don't know, I don't understand the politics behind it. Anyway, I think that's everything now coming up. So thank you very much for joining me in this discussion. It's been good.
Thanks for having me.
If you've enjoyed this, obviously feel free to give us a like, and if you really enjoyed it, also consider subscribing. I have new content going up all the time at the moment. Obviously I do live streams about 3 times a week, so there's all sorts of stuff going on the channel at the moment. If you have any suggestions for improvements to anything, obviously you can leave a comment in the comment section below. And you can also follow on Twitter for future updates about the channel and stuff like that. Once again, thank you all so much for watching, and I will catch you in the next one.
Yeah.